people and many entities involved. And we're going to follow this evidence wherever it takes us. We will find the silent accomplices. We will expose the enablers who enabled this conduct behind closed doors. We will pursue this matter, no matter.
And a new twist in a high-profile lawsuit accuses rapper Jay-Z of in 2000 alongside Sean Diddy Combs. The lawsuit, originally filed in October, was refiled today to include Jay-Z as a defendant. The anonymous accuser claims the assault occurred at an MTV Video Music Awards after-party. Jay-Z has denied the allegations in a statement on Roc Nation's Instagram, calling the accusations heinous and urging a criminal complaint be filed instead of a civil one.
A few moments later.
There seem to be some inconsistencies in the anonymous accuser's claims, including who she says she spoke to at the 2000 VMA Afterparty just prior to the alleged assault.
Roc Nation released a statement from Jay-Z, said today's investigative report proves this attorney Busby filed a false complaint against me in the pursuit of money and fame. This incident didn't happen, and yet he filed it in court and doubled down in the press. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory. This was over before it began. This 1-800 lawyer doesn't realize it yet, but soon. And
at some point, we got to start holding the networks responsible for even giving people like this the time of day. You could just put them behind a curtain and let their shadow
just
talk.
Let it. Well,
so Jay-Z has been accused of doing some horrible things, but the story just doesn't really make sense. Okay, so now we're back in the world of Diddy and we're talking about Jay-Z. So why are we talking about Jay-Z? Well, Jay-Z was accused of doing some unmentionable things to a young girl at the 2000 VMAs along with his good friend P. Diddy Combs. So on September 7th, 2000, a 13-year-old autistic girl was driven from Rochester, New York to New York City. Now, this drive took 5 hours. She was making this trip to attend the 2000 Video Music Awards.
The night of the 2000s VMAs, she says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive.
Now, after this 13-year-old is dropped off, she claims she couldn't get into the show, so she watched it on the Jumbotron. She then claims that after the show, she meets one of Diddy's drivers who takes her to an after party. She claims the party was held at a private home with a U-shaped driveway. She also claims that Benji Madden was at the party and she had a conversation with him about his tattoo, The Last Supper.
She went to a White House, she says, where she spoke to musicians Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo because, I have about his tattoo that's The Last Supper, because I have a religious background, so it was just something to talk about.
Now, this woman also claims that later on some unspeakable things occurred in that house and that she escaped and ran to a local gas station where she called her father, who was in Rochester, and then he drove the 5 hours from Rochester to New York City to pick up his daughter.
After the alleged rape, she says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up and drove her home.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where I was.
Now, this was a story that they were putting forward, but at first glance, you may not notice the issues, but just dig a little deeper and it becomes glaring that this story has a lot of problems. Okay, so we have a lot to work with here. So let's tackle this one thing at a time. So who can verify that they drove a 13-year-old 5.5 hours from their home in Rochester to New York and dropped them off in the middle of the city? Can we find that? Can we speak to that person who did that? Because to be honest with you, that may be a form of child neglect. But NBC has a response for us.
The night of the 2000s VMAs, she says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive. Her attorney provided NBC News with the name of the friend who has since died.
So the friend died. Well, you know who else we can ask? Her father. Her father drove her 5 hours back and forth, right? That's a 10-hour trip. That's something you remember. I had to pick up my 13-year-old daughter 5.5 hours away in New York City. How the hell did you get out there, right? That's something that you'd remember. So here's what her father said.
She says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up and drove her home.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where I was.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not verify the claims. Quote, "I felt like I would remember that, and I don't. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind," he said.
That's something I would think you would remember too. Right? A 10-hour trip to go pick up your daughter. And remember, she even said she spoke to some people during that party, Benji Madden.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo.
But come to find out, he wasn't even in the state.
In a statement to NBC News, a representative of the Maddens confirmed that they did not attend the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at the time.
Now, even the location of the alleged assault seems to be up for question. See, the alleged victim in this case says she was taken to a White House for the after party.
I stumbled upon Diddy's driver, who told me that I was exactly what Diddy was looking for.
What did you think when he said that to you?
I thought it meant that I was just pretty.
She went to a White House, she says.
Now, this is a problem for this woman's story because during that night, Jay-Z and Diddy were both filmed at various locations, and neither of them were a White House.
Paragraph 44 of the complaint claims that the party, again, this is the party where she claims she was assaulted, the party occurred at a large white residence with a gated U-shaped driveway that was approximately 20 minutes from the VMAs by car. But photographs show that after the VMAs, Mr. Carter attended a party at Lotus, a nightclub in New York. And by the way, there is a photo included here provided by Alex Spiro of Jay-Z at what appears to be a party with a lot of people. Later on in the memorandum, he writes, other photographs from that evening also show Mr. Combs with his then girlfriend, the musician and actress Jennifer Lopez, at two different establishments, Lotus and Twirl, neither of which was a large residence with a U-shaped driveway. And there is another photo that is included. This time it's of the pair, Jennifer Lopez, Sean Combs, and there is a caption at the bottom that says that they are at a MTV Video Music Awards after party at Twirl on September 7th, 2000.
Now, you would think that was enough to say, hold on, these allegations may not be up to snuff, but even the minor things seem to be off. For instance, she said she watched the VMAs on a Jumbotron because you couldn't get inside, but they didn't have a Jumbotron because the city didn't give them a permit.
Then, Spiro writes, paragraph 40 states that plaintiff watched the VMAs on a Jumbotron. In fact, photographs from that evening show there was no Jumbotron, as New York City had denied MTV a permit. And included, also by Jay-Z's legal team, is a screenshot of what appears to be a video, so it's a still shot from a YouTube video that is titled 2000 MTV VMAs Red Carpet, and it appears that someone is performing on an outdoor stage in New York, but from that pic, yeah, you don't see a Jumbotron.
And getting things started, doing it live up on the marquee for the crowds down below. Best New Artist nominees, Papa Roach.
So I gotta say, my confidence level in these allegations is extremely low. Now, when confronted with these realities, the accuser and her attorneys explained it this way.
When we asked the woman about the contradictions in a phone interview on Friday, she said that she stands by her statements. "I have made some mistakes," she said. "Honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me." The inconsistencies in her account of an incident alleged to have happened 24 years ago does not necessarily mean the allegations are false. The accuser's attorney, Tony Busby, said, "Because we have interrogated her intensely, she has even agreed to submit to a polygraph. This has been extremely distressing for her, to the point she has experienced seizures and had to seek medical treatment due to the stress."
So they telling me that he's saying to us that he interrogated her so much, and she told that story, and that's what he decided to put front and center after a crazy interrogation.
It sounds like BS. The fact that her dad doesn't remember, the fact that she said she was talking to somebody, had a conversation with somebody that wasn't even in the state. Like, this is just getting crazy. And what's really pissing me off is if Busby knew all this and you let her do that interview,
Yeah.
As your client? Like, come on.
All right, guys, you got to tell me what you think about this case. I've been racking my head around it. I think this is a clear not guilty, not liable. You know, there's nothing here. You can't verify anything here. The people who she says she talked to weren't even in the state. You can't verify that she was actually there because the person who supposedly brought her there is dead. The person who supposedly picked her up, that person doesn't remember any of this stuff. None of this stuff makes sense. So right now, unfortunately for this person, I think her lawsuit is full of crap. Now, allegedly, she survived the motion to dismiss, but they have another one coming up because of these new facts. And shout out to NBC because they found those inconsistencies and brought a lot of them up, and it just makes sense. It doesn't seem like the lawyer did a good job of just asking her father, hey, she said you picked her up. Do you remember this? It happened when she was 13. I think you would remember I happened to go pick my 13-year-old up who's 5 hours away from where I'm at. I gotta go pick them up a 5-hour drive and bring them back. That's 5 hours back, 10 hours on the road. Yeah, that's something I think you would remember. But I'm a crazy man. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. My name is Nathan Lloyd. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.